Welcome to the Logistics Point interviews. I'm joined by Dean Maciuba, the managing partner at Crossroad Parcel Consulting in the USA. And we're going to talk about last mile sustainability and then also look into the bigger picture of the whole sustainability movement. Dean, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. This is a great subject and topic to discuss because it's important to everybody.
What do you think of these models for last mile sustainability are really what consumers are looking for and what will drive sustainability?
You know, I think what we should first do is maybe draw a little bit of a differentiation between Europe and the USA. Access point pickup or out-of-home delivery is much larger and more well accepted in Europe than it is in the US. But in the US, we do have solutions that are in place and working. I think most importantly is buy online and pick up in store. That's been very, very popular, especially among our larger big box stores like Target and Walmart. Also, we have staffed access point locations. One such group is groups of stores is the UPS store. There's over 5,000 of them. And you see tremendous acceptance at those stores for both holding shipments for pickup, but also dropping off returns. So you don't have to return, you don't have to have the return pickup. The UPS store is very important to Amazon because most of their returns are processed through that store. A part of that whole solution, delivery apps. And that means it's not necessarily a point, but it's technology that drives a consumer to an access point to maybe have their package delivered there. Their intention may not be one of sustainability. However, it could drive it just because they now have options for redirecting delivery. Any solution that has electric vehicle usage as part of it, that's getting some attention in the U.S., not so much by the consumer, but by the carriers in a big way. Amazon, FedEx, UPS. Parcel lockers have not generally been accepted in the U.S., nor have they been fully developed. However, there's one organization that's doing really well with parcel lockers, and that's Amazon. And they have more parcel lockers than anybody else. And I think that goes directly to how scale helps drive usage. And so the Amazon parcel locker is a great opportunity for customers to defer local delivery and consolidate stops at a single location. Also, Amazon has specific day delivery, which is really big. It really does reduce the number of stops. And that may be one of the biggest solutions right now to reducing the carbon footprint of a home delivery.
Why companies do it? Is it just because they want to appear as a better brand? Or they really care about the sustainability? And actually, at the end of the day, does it really matter if it has a positive impact on the whole sustainability chain?
I think all big companies care about sustainability. Is it also a good item to message on? Yes, and that's okay. Most of these companies are publicly traded and they're trying to make a living and make a profit and employ people. So they will absolutely do it, especially with electric vehicles, because it makes economic sense. While EVs are still more costly on the front end, long-term maintenance is significantly lower. Are they embracing EVs for environmental reasons? Yes, I think they are, but that might be a byproduct of moving towards more cost-effective means for delivering packages. That's a good thing.
Do you think that consumers would actually look at how things are being delivered and make choices based on how sustainable, environmentally friendly a delivery option is?
Today, here in the U.S., not so much. Are there obviously consumers that care about that? Yes. But as we go down this path of global warming and we also see the messaging about the potential harm to the environment because of the internal usage of the internal combustion engine, I think that will happen. Is it a priority today for the U.S. consumer? No, but as the condition worsens, I think it will become more of a concern. You know, a great example for me is, you know, we don't see a lot of cargo bikes here in the U.S. They are starting to be placed by the carriers. We see a lot of those in Europe. And what it represents is so powerful. And that's a significantly reduced amount of energy to deliver packages, granted a dense area. But I think as consumers start seeing electric vehicles, they may not always know they're electric, right? But when they start seeing things like cargo bike solutions, they're going to say, hey, that's a great idea. And it's clear to me that it's a lot cheaper and better for the environment to deliver via a cargo bike, if you can, versus a big truck. Sustainability will be a byproduct if the consumer gets the message that we'll have less congestion in our major cities because we're going to have fewer large delivery vehicles on the streets because they may be replaced in many cases by cargo bikes that can use bike lanes to move about. So that's sort of the direction where I think we're going. It's going to happen, but it's going to take time.
Do you think that any of these other alternatives is a possible solution at any point? It doesn't seem that it's very successful at the moment.
That might be pie in the sky to think that we can have a robot do all the things necessary to deliver a package to the front door. And as you know, both FedEx and Amazon in the past few weeks pulled out of their 2 research and development or testing programs for those items. However, you've got to test and then you've got to fail. Is it necessarily a bad idea that they went down that path and it failed? No, because I think they learned from that whole experience. One thing that I'm very curious about is drone delivery. And, you know, it hasn't taken off in the U.S. I think that's something we still have to pay attention to and watch because, you know, it would appear to me that if we can get consumers and carriers and merchants to embrace drone delivery under certain circumstances, that's probably going to be helpful to the environment. Plus, it's not an internal combustion engine. They're lithium battery driven. In the U.S., we haven't embraced out-of-home delivery. And out-of-home delivery is all those other solutions that we've just talked about. And today here in the U.S., the e-commerce value proposition includes home delivery, and it's got to be free home delivery. Another thing that could force the merchants and the carriers to incent their customers to use out-of-home delivery services more often is offering a discount. So maybe we're going to start seeing that.
Do you think that companies, in specifically logistics carriers, would be happy now to spend this money on different projects that they don't really know the outcome of?
If you're a startup, there's still a lot of venture capital out there. And you probably don't have a board of directors to satisfy with regards to margin, profitability. Mm-hmm. You're not publicly traded, so you don't have to answer to the public on that one application. They're developing a technology. I think from my standpoint, it probably works better for these smaller companies who are developing a new technology to be funded through the venture capital process versus having these large companies like UPS or FedEx, you know, attempt this because they have so many things going on. They're not singularly focused on that project. So I think that type of development is really best handled by smaller companies whose sole focus is making that technology work.
Why would a company like Amazon work on net zero?
Messaging is important. But if you're just messaging on cargo bikes or last mile, you're going to miss a lot of people. I think what you want to do is you want to message about all of your sustainability initiatives to include what you're doing in the last mile. You know, we know that Amazon is working on, they've ordered more electric vehicles than anybody for last mile delivery. So we know that they're working in that area to convert most of their vehicles to electric. But, you know, what I hear all the time is people are very frustrated with the wasted space in a box when they receive a small item in a large box from Amazon. I think what Amazon also needs to do is talk about how they're going to address all those issues pertaining to packaging and recycling. That's an opportunity because that is something that the consumer instantly relates to. And then the other thing is the certifications for buildings that move them towards net zero. That is also important because that does get attention. So if we're talking about Amazon, if we look at those three areas, we know that they're moving forward on two of those areas. They're still struggling with packaging.
Would we have enough capacity?
If you told me 20 years ago that Amazon would be doing what they're doing today, I would have said, no way. So I think we do have the ability to manage and find and develop these complex solutions that cover many, many different areas of sustainability. It's hard to imagine that there are many, many more solutions to the overall sustainability concerns. I think there are. And I think a company like Amazon can lead the way. Now, I've spoken a lot about Amazon. UPS and FedEx here in the States, they're also addressing sustainability. I mean, there's a lot of companies out there doing it. But what's interesting about Amazon is they're still a relatively new company, so they don't have a legacy thought process in place with the existing management team.
Do you think there is a chance to see in the logistics and supply chain industry a point where competitors are starting to work together in order to address that sustainability?
An example of that would be a carrier agnostic parcel locker, or what I call a universal parcel locker, where numerous carriers could use a single locker instead of every carrier having their own bank of lockers. Problem with the larger carriers is it's really all about control of their packages and then giving access to another party to those packages, which you would have to have. What I don't think we'll ever see, and maybe you will on a limited basis, and there was talk about this, of a third party in a metro area taking control of all deliveries across all carriers. I don't think you're ever going to see that. They're testing it right now in some European communities right now. It's going to be really, really hard to make that type of solution work.
Dean, thank you very much for your time. And for everyone watching, you can learn more in the description below. Thank you.